Inward Nine.
Welcome back to the Inward Nine, a Fantasy Golf Metrics production. My name's Jeff Ulrich. We're talking the U.S. Open this week. We'll do a little bit of a FedEx St. Jude recap, not much. Mainly just talking the year's second major. And if you haven't checked out the site, fantasygolfmetrics.com, please do so after you're done listening to this podcast. A ton of great fantasy golf tools for your one and done golf betting, whatever you're doing in the realm of golf, fantasy golf. There it is for you on Fantasy Golf Metrics. You got lineup builder, stat searcher tools, course lead-in form analyzers. It's all there, so make sure you check that out. Also, articles every week for subscribers, subscriber chat on Wednesday night. It's a really, really good deal. $5 per week only. Monthly deal's good too, but definitely check that out after. And joining me, as he always is, on the US Open podcast, I know he's pumped, Fantasy Golf Metrics co-founder Steven Richter. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing phenomenal, Jeff. This is like the Super Bowl. All of it wrapped in one for us is like my favorite event of the year. Many people know we go out there. I got a crew. We got like 7-8 people going out for the weekend. We got a house. So just really jacked up to get out there and go over everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like the course looks amazing. I mean, I don't like flying much, but I almost consider going out there this year. It's one of the most iconic courses in America. I mean, the restoration looks awesome. So it's going to be a good week. I'm pumped for you. We'll talk about the FedEx a little bit quickly here. Obviously, Dustin, kind of a runaway victory. He's maybe the guy we should focus on because I know he won by like 4 or 5 strokes. Obviously, the holdout eagle played a part in that. But did he? I don't know how much you watched of it, but he didn't really look that dominant to me. Like there was a couple of wayward shots here and there. Are you worried about him this week, or you figure it's just like you should just get some exposure and not worry about it?
You know, he was pretty good. You know, the first 3 rounds, it was all in the proximity on that last day. He just couldn't seem to find his distances. I think he was 21, 26, and 21 feet the first 3 rounds. The last round, he was closer to like 40 foot. So I think he was just kind of off, 1 or 2 club in terms of distances. Obviously, he holed out in that last one, so he had it right there. But, other than that, listen, he's as good form as anyone is in coming in. You can see basically what he's done the last 2 months. So I'm not too worried about what he did on the last day. Yeah, he still won by 6 strokes or whatever it was. So I don't know. I think you're kind of looking for something with him if you're trying to say that last day wasn't good enough.
That's probably a good way to put it. I mean, maybe the best way to just say is if you like Dustin Johnson coming in before this week, you should just stay on him. His ownership's going to go up a little bit. So if you didn't, maybe it's even a better reason to fade him, whatever. The pricing's soft enough you can fit him in. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Dustin Johnson. We can talk about him a bit more once we get to the field. A couple other things about the FedEx. Obviously, I had like a nice bet on Putnam there at 150 to 1. Came through with an each way top 5. I wasn't really expecting him to beat DJ, quite frankly. He didn't have a very good Sunday, but at least he held on to second. Looked nervous through the whole thing. We also had a piece of Kirk, piece of CT Pan, who looked really good for a couple days and then fell apart. That was actually probably the most disappointing thing about the event. But some of those guys came through. Nice weeks, Pan and Putnam, guys to keep an eye on. But anything else about the event before we move on?
No, nothing too much. I mean, I think there were a lot of surprises on, some guys that people expected to make through the cut. Some of the chalkier guys didn't get through, but other than that, I'm not too interested anymore. I'm all focused on Shinnecock this week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about some of those guys who missed the cut, maybe especially Charles Schwartzel later on. But yeah, let's talk about Shinnecock Hills. I mean, like I mentioned, this is one of the most iconic courses in America. Restoration done by Bill Coore, Ben Crenshaw. I think it was 2012, 2013. Lengthened it to 7,400 yards, widened the fairways a little bit. Some other stuff, but I mean, it's POA bent grass greens. The USGA has brought the fairways in a little bit. It's not going to be a repeat of last year, even though the courses do kind of look a little bit similar, to be honest. But I've just been, watching on Twitter, getting some feel for the course and how it's set up, and it's going to be tricky, man. Like these greens look just completely impossible to hold with your approaches. So I got some feelings about the course, but I mean, I want to hear your feelings. A, you're going to be out there, and then B, we also got to mention some of the contests and stuff you guys are going to kind of be giving away as well.
Yeah, so I'll get into the course a little bit. I mean, the main thing that is interesting out there is you're going to have to look at the wind. I don't think it looks like it's going to be too windy or too crazy, but it's definitely going to be cooler air out there than we saw this last week. One of the things I noticed is the routing on the course is very unique in that there's no two holes that are parallel. So every single hole, if there is wind, is going to be a different kind of view or a different look for each player. So you got to look at some of the wind players if that kicks up. I mean, it's a very similar course to what we've seen. Erin Hills didn't have the wind, but it's the same kind of layout where it's more rolling hills, no trees. Chambers Bay, that kind of concept. So the wind would be a huge defense to the course if it picks up, and especially with the way the course is routed, it could make it really tricky. Some of the carries are definitely going to be out there. I was joking last night. Beth Page had a scenario on the 15th hole back in 2002 when the wind completely changed on the USGA and people, they couldn't reach the fairway. I don't know if we're going to have anything like that, but the whole thing with Ted Scott saying, someone that drives the ball long is going to, have success. I think that is true. I think we're going to have to look at someone that is a true ball striker, which I think has always been the case in the U.S. Open. Listen, people that haven't been phenomenal putters over the course of their career have had some success here, but it's going to be all about ball striking. It's going to be someone that can, really get it out there, really move it. So definitely going to be interesting. And then, for what you mentioned in terms of us being out there, a couple different things. Basically, what we've put together some hats with some Shinnecock logo in the FGM like bullseye logo on the front. So all of our guys are gonna be 7 of us out there from Friday through Sunday. If you run into us, we're gonna have a little kind of like card or a little sheet to give out to you. Basically, we're gonna give out free month. So free month just for running into us. The last couple of years, we've gotten to run into some people that use this site. It's really cool to see you out there. This is something we want to promote. So all you have to do is basically recognize the hat if you're going to be out there. I know it's going to be pretty easy for anyone in the New York area to just kind of take the LIRR train out there. So we're just looking to promote as much as we can, and we're going to be out there. We have a good time every year, so we want to make sure that anyone that sees us out there gets a little piece of the action with us.
All right. So that's easy enough. You're going to the event. If you're going to be there, you're going to be at Shinnecock. Look for the Fantasy Golf Metrics logo. You don't know it, it's on the site. It's pretty easy to find. Look for the guys wearing the hats and go get your free month. Pretty simple. And there's another Twitter thing too, wasn't there?
Yeah. We're going all in with some fun stuff. Basically, the guys that are out there, we have a little pool where we picked our team, and we're letting users kind of rank our teams or basically pick who they think is going to win. If you pick the winner of our guys, and then also put out a score, we'll use that as a tiebreaker. We're going to give you one of those hats that have the Shinnecock logo on the back and the FGM logo on the front. It's like a fitted, puff kind of 3D embroidery on the front there. And then we'll also give that person a free month. So it's just something for fun, just kind of like, some Twitter banter while we're out there to see how we're doing in terms of our little contest. And again, anyone that's just interacting with us, we like to have a good time, and, we want to reward people for that. So just a little extra that we're doing for everyone this week.
Right on. So you check that out on Twitter at FGmetrics on Twitter. So yeah, lots of cool stuff going on. Obviously, if you're in the New York area, you should probably get down there because it's going to be a good event. But
according to the polls so far, no one seems to like my team. Everyone's voting for Bobby. My father's going to be out there a day, so they're voting for him. But I've gotten like 1 or 2 votes, so we'll see how that goes.
Maybe I'll give you a pity vote later. I haven't analyzed the teams yet, so we'll see. But okay, let's dive into the field now. Obviously, we got tons to talk about here. We talked about Dustin off the start. The one thing I will say is that the win, it's going to make him popular this week, especially for DraftKings play, in my opinion. I know we've talked about this off the start or before with other elite players, but DraftKings isn't pricing players over 12K, and a lot of weeks it's making them easier to fit in. And this week especially, because it's such a deep field, Dustin's going to be easy to fit in. Do you just see him as the highest projected player, like from the top 5 for sure, in your mind?
After that win, he has to be. We've talked about this all year. We're not seeing players in the low 12s. I would expect him, based on what he's done in the U.S. Open the last few years, even though last year was a struggle, but we know what Dustin can do at the U.S. Open, plus the win, plus the recent form. In my mind, he's more of like a 12-2 to 12-4 type player. But you look at what the top 6 guys are in the 5-digit club, we'll call it. Of all those guys, I think he's definitely going to have to be the highest owned. At 11.7, you can make that work. I think that's the difference. If he was in the low 12s, you probably would have brought it down a little bit. But like at 11.7, that's no different than what we've seen for the highest player all year. So there's no reason why he's not going to be in a lot of different lineups.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty popular. He's probably not going to be like super chalky where he gets like over 30%, although, we'll wait for ownership. So obviously we got someone who does that on the site. So look for the FGM projections if you're subscribed to come out Tuesday. Preliminary ones will probably come out Tuesday. Final ones will be obviously on Wednesday. But after him, I mean, the win is probably going to, drive down some ownership of a few players. I think it'll drive down Rory for sure. You might be able to get Rory at really low. Justin Thomas, he'll probably still get some because he's only 11K. Jordan Spieth will probably get really low ownership. Of those three under Dustin, is Thomas the guy for you? I mean, I know we've kind of been on him all year, but do you have any love for Rory or Spieth?
I think I have more for Rory just because of how,
Okay,
he is a prolific driver of the ball. So, if he
right.
goes out and does, he goes full Rory in terms of driving it, and then the putter is just average. I think, one of the things he's struggled with a lot over the last years, a couple of years, are those short irons and the wedges. So, but there's such a premium on driving it well. I mean, if you're hitting it 330 right down the middle, you can probably have a couple extra mistakes with the putter, with your approach shots. Not many, but here you're going to have such a extra kind of advantage by being better than the field when it comes to getting it out there. So Spieth just kind of finds a way. I like him in terms of being gritty, but of those two guys, and I'm definitely not really on either of them. I think I
Yeah.
think Rory probably is going to be less owned and maybe has more of a chance to spike. But again, it's really tough. I mean, our first class on the newest guide has we have it to I think 16 people. So there's a lot of people that can really compete this week. It's hard to say, but of those guys, I think Thomas, we like. I think we've chatted the last couple of days on whether we think he's kind of maybe under the radar. Obviously, he just fell out of the number one ranking. I think that could be something of a better mindset for him. So he's in his last 6 events, he's averaging 12.2 average finish. So he's number one on our form guide. I don't see why he shouldn't be in the mix. Come Sunday. I mean, listen, obviously he finished ninth last year. He had that phenomenal round at Erin Hills, so he can play. His game does work here. It's really hard at the top. I mean, any of these guys up there can win. I know Ricky is a guy that we've talked about a lot. You've been on since before the calendar year, so I'll let you go into him and what your thoughts are now.
I mean, yeah, Spieth and McIlroy. I think Spieth is a little bit interesting, just because I know he's played well at tough venues before, and like you said, he peaks for majors very well. So even if I don't think he could win, I could see him getting into the top 20 and being an okay DraftKings play. That being said, paying up for 10-8 for a guy who's T12, maybe not the best strategy, especially when guys like Justin Thomas are there. I think has way more winning upside this week. Yeah, Ricky Fowler's really interesting because I mean, I recognize Justin Thomas is a better player. At the same time, I like the lead up for Ricky. I like the fact he was second at the Masters, took some time off. He's had 2 solid events now. The ball striking's a little bit better. The putter is really getting going. And you're going to have a good week with the putter and around the greens at Shinnecock. Everyone's going to be missing these greens, man. Good players are going to hit good shots and they're going to fall off the green. It's just, you're going to see it all week. Players are going to get tilted. I feel like Ricky he's capable of going both ways. I mean, we've seen him implode, at a U.S. Open before, but I feel like he's in good form. He's coming in well, so I could see him outperforming Justin Thomas here. I'm definitely going to have a piece of Ricky. I already bet him. The guy from this range I like, and I really feel like this is going to be maybe his best shot at the U.S. Open is Jason Day, though. Again, I feel like this event, it's going to bring back some of his weakness with the irons, and it's going to kind of equalize the field a little bit because even the good ball strikers are going to miss the green. They're going to have to get up and down. That's what Jason Day does, man. He gets up and down from everywhere. So great U.S. Open player. That's my favorite play in this range, but I do have a little bit of love for Ricky. And not a little bit. I have actually quite a bit of love for Ricky, too, at this event.
No, Day is it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's what I said last year as well. But he finished 144th. But you look at his form coming in. Not form coming in, but what he's done in U.S. Opens in years past. I mean, 8th, 9th, 4th, 2nd, 4 in a row before the missed cut last year. Obviously, he's got the wins this year. So why not Day? I mean,
he's very Phil-like at the U.S. Open. He's not accurate off the tee, but he hits it pretty far. He's just good at getting around these U.S. Open courses. I mean, he's won at Torrey Pines twice. It just suits him.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
he's it's both. He's on form. He plays well here. And I think, one of the things when we talked about Jason Day, say earlier in the year before he won, or even late last year, there's always so many people that talk about Jason Day and they're like, oh, well, is he healthy? Oh, he's not really playing that great. He's one of those guys where when Jason Day is playing as well as Jason Day can, he's, almost a lock or one of the best players in the world. And who's to say that he's not playing up to Jason Day standards right now with the way he is. So if that's the argument that people were making when he wasn't playing well, he's playing well now. So
Yeah.
why is he not considered one of the favorites? And he is, but I feel like there's so much focus on some of the other guys. I don't know what it is. Maybe Jason Day is just not as sexy to talk about sometimes. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I know you've been. The term adding shares. You've been adding shares of Jason Day for a while, which I love because
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I think you've probably been getting some good value on him. I'm not sure. I could see it
I,
dropping heading in.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I thought he was going to be talked up a little bit more. He's not though. I mean, most of the people I see out there who talk about betting and fantasy for a living, there lots of people talking up Ricky a little today. Some people, Justin Thomas getting a little bit. I haven't seen that many people getting excited about Jason, and maybe it's just the type of player. Maybe people were just sick of him from 2015 winning everything, and they're just finding a reason not to play him. But I don't know. I'm fine betting him at 18-1, which is what he's at now. He might even drift to the 20s because Fowler's getting action. I don't care. I like the 18-1 number. I'm gonna add a little bit more before the off. He'll probably be my biggest to win bet. He'll be in DFS lineup. So whatever. If he implodes again, that's fine. But U.S. Open, Jason Day, I'm until he starts like falling off completely or something. I'll be on him for most years. So I do like him. Under this range is interesting because I mean the 9K range, and we talked about this, but it's really good because there's so much value. But these guys all have similar winning upside to the guys in the 10K range, in my opinion. So who's your favorite from this range? I mean, starting with like I don't know, you can even go down to Stenson, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I'll even keep it in the nines because I feel like the one thing I'm seeing when I look at the field and the way it's priced is like I think they got it right. Even though it is soft, you look at
Mhm.
those top guys in the 5-digit range, those are the guys I expect to be there. And then you look at that next tier of the guys in like the nines, maybe upper eights, and they look appropriate to me. It's kind of like guys you expect to win, guys that you think really have a good chance to win, but you're not sure. And then right below them, when we get to the lower eights, these are guys that hey, they could win, but they also could like completely implode. And I think the way that it's tiered, just the way in my mind, it looks right. But let's start. I mean, Justin Rose, obviously one of the favorites this week. A lot of people are on him. We basically have him third ranked overall. Great form coming in. Obviously the win. Um, you know, I think he's probably one of the premier guys. But again, it's not like he's a $9,000 player, so he's closer to 10, which could be a little prohibitive. You drop down, obviously Kepka. Kepka just got removed when I updated the survival guide by like thousandth of a point. I don't know if I actually edited it so that you can see it's. We have 10 is always the best. DJ's 10, and literally Kepka's 9.999. So he did get moved out, but he's up there for us. Stenson, as you know, I've kind of taken some shares of. All these guys have a chance to win. Stenson, I'm not sure if the 3-wood that he likes to go with is going to be enough for him, but he's playing as well as anyone right now. Matsuyama, obviously, what he did last year, plus he's kind of trending. It's really interesting in this price point. Um, I think Kepka obviously is the favorite. He's probably going to be one of the higher owned guys at that price. I think someone that I'm not interested in, but maybe people are going to kind of think is the game theory play. What are your thoughts on Sergio?
Sergio, yeah, I mean, he's had some good U.S. Open results. He actually makes a lot of cuts at this event, and I guess I can kind of see it from like a top 30, top 20 perspective, maybe even sneaks into the top 10 with like a good final round or something like out of nowhere. At the same time, I don't think he's going to contend for the win. So from a game theory perspective, I feel like you're kind of relying on Sergio to make the cut and then find something on the weekend, kind of almost like a Brandon Grace from the Open last year or something. And it could happen. I mean, Sergio's a really good driver of the ball. If you don't go with Phil at that range, and Phil misses the cut or something, and Sergio does have a good weekend, you're massive. I
He's
guess from a GPP perspective, I guess I don't mind it if you're not going to take Stenson because I like Stenson. I think he's a better cash game play though. I guess that's about I guess that's my thoughts on Sergio.
No, it makes sense. He's squished right in between Stenson and Mickelson. So
Yeah,
how do you not kind of consider that the lowest owned play in that range? But he's only made 2 of 6 cuts recently. But like you said, I mean, he makes cuts at U.S. Opens. He's 13 of 15 making the cut here. So that's really impressive. And in a type of venue that's always set up to be really difficult. He is, of all the guys, he's the only guy in the top, above 8,000 that's in the third class for us. Everyone else is either in the first or second class. So I think the pricing is very indicative of form overall. But yeah, it's really tough. I think the only way you can justify it is you think that he's not going to have high ownership, but I can't make an argument for form. I mean, we have him ranked 78th in the field in form based on what he's done. His last 6 events is averaging 70th finish position. It's basically he's averaging a
yeah.
missed cut. So it's hard for me to get behind him. I mean, listen, I think you could throw him and Jon Rahm in a lineup and not think that you're confident at all, but you might get the greatest ownership. And if they just happen to be right, that could be something that happens. Because I don't think, from what you've said, Rahm's not really on your radar, and it's hard to say he's on ours too, but I think it's a mindset thing for him. So it's like you're looking at these guys that we know have the ability, but is it really just, are you banking on maybe they show up and they're not owned? Because they're not cash plays, these type of guys to me.
Yeah, not in this field, anyways. Rahm is. I basically made this argument already this week, but in this range, I mean, paying up 400 more for Justin Rose or going down and just getting Brooks Koepka and Tiger Woods. I get that Jon Rahm has enough talent to win a major championship, but I just feel like you're a little bit safer with Koepka. Woods is striking it well. You don't get the what ifs with with those guys as much as you get with Jon Rahm, who's really not performed well in major championships outside of like this year's Masters. I didn't have a good Players Championship. I just feel like this isn't really the event. The like I'm just not talking about like long term. I'm just talking about this isn't really the site for him. I guess it's not the site I would pick for a Jon Rahm win. I'd want to see like a softer side. I think he's got a better chance at Carnoustie, quite frankly, Open. So we'll see. I could be completely off on this. I don't quite think that this is the event for him, and I just really don't like the price. If he were like the same price as Stenson, have probably a completely different mindset. I'd probably be looking to try and get him into a GPP lineup or two. But when I can pay down for Sergio at really low ownership or Stenson with a little bit safer, just take the chalk on Koepka. Probably just going to do that. So
I completely agree. I mean, how do you not spend the extra 400 and go with Justin Rose, who has shown by far that not only has he won here, but he's just playing better.
And whether you like Rahm, it really comes down to who else you want to get in your lineup too. I mean, if you want to go completely balanced, I mean, Rahm probably isn't a bad guy to go, but I mean, like if you're starting with Dustin, again, the price is a little bit prohibitive, right? So maybe you're probably just going to go down to someone else. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a weird spot for him. I feel like people might just like force themselves to use him for like game theory, and I don't know if that's the right play, but we'll see.
Well, real quick, I don't want to. I mean, we're going to go through almost everyone, but before we jump down, I think there's probably someone we should discuss in this range. His name's Tiger. It's really interesting to look at his numbers, and one of the things we've done on the survival guide for the most recent update is on the event by event, we've added strokes gained tee to green and strokes gained putting by event, so you can actually see what the reason for their finish was, and it's incredible. I mean, you look at the Memorial, he was 3.5 strokes gained tee to green, which, let me just sort here, that might actually be, that was number 1 in the field. Do you know what, I don't know if you have it in front of you, do you know what his strokes gained putting was?
He's ranked 93rd.
It was negative 7.7. Like, he lost 7, almost 8 strokes to the field. Just his last event at the Players, 4.1 strokes gained putting. You take the 2 performances, he wins by 7 strokes.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
And that, I mean, that's part of the reason why I say, like, I if I'm gonna go for like an upside play, like why not just go with Tiger?
Exactly.
Like I don't know if Tiger's gonna be that popular either. Like, I mean, I already hear people being like, yeah, well, he's not driving. He can't drive it well. Well, actually, he was actually driving it really well at Memorial. Like his ball striking isn't the issue anymore. It was just a bad putting week. So, and I'm not saying that can't carry over and like he has trouble with these greens but like 9,200, I'm very interested in Tiger Woods this week. Like I will have shares of him. I might even be overweight by a
If
bit.
if Tiger Woods goes out and gains 3.5 strokes tee to green,
Yeah,
he's gonna be in contention.
he's not only he's going to be he's going to be competing on Sunday. Like he's going to be within one or two of the lead because these greens, like even if someone has a massive putting week, unless they marry it with like an amazing ball striking week, they're not going to pull away. And really, there's only a few people in the field who can do that. It's probably like Dustin, Tiger, maybe Jason Day. Although I don't know if he's quite got the ball striking to pull away right now, but he might. I mean, he definitely has the capability, and that's pretty much it. Like in my mind, I mean, there's like three or four players. I mean, Rory probably I should throw in that list too, and JT. But like, so that's five. But other than those guys, like you said, if Tiger just keeps playing tee to green, even if he putts poorly, he's going to be in contention. So I guess that's my argument for Tiger. I'm glad you brought him up now because I feel like too, if you want to get off the Koepka chalk, I think Tiger's going to be like 10% less owned than him.
Yeah, I
Do you
mean,
feel like that's a fair assertion?
I don't know about 10, but yeah, I'm in that range. I think, last
He'll
time
be less. He's got to be less, right?
Oh, no, no, 100%. I
Yeah.
think I was thinking Tiger in like the 15, maybe 17% in the Millie Maker, just because, it's Tiger Woods and there's 200,000
Yeah,
people.
and especially in the Millie Maker, yeah, I
Yeah.
could see him approaching 20% maybe.
But you got to figure Koepka is going to be in the low to mid 20s at least. So yeah, I mean, 8 to 10% less might actually not be too far off for what we
Right.
see.
And again, it obviously depends what you're playing, but I mean, I feel like some of the higher stakes might, look down on Tiger and just get on more of these guys like Koepka or Rahm just because they're high young players. And I think don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't talk yourself out of Tiger Woods this week. I like him here. He's a little bit under the radar. It's not quite as crazy as it was at the Masters for him.
Let's not forget the last time he won a major, it was on Poa Greens.
Yeah, it was
So,
the U.S. Open 10 years ago.
exactly. So
That'd be a pretty crazy story.
yeah.
I know people like Phil, and I don't mind Mickelson 8,600. I don't know what your thoughts on him are.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think he's saying all the right things. I don't know if he's saying all of them because he needs to say them to be in the right mindset. He loves the course. He's obviously in as good a form as he's been since say 2013 when he won the Open Championship. He's got the win at the WGC. He is playing extremely well. Gotta love what he did on Sunday. One of the best rounds of the day, even though he kind of shot himself out of the tournament on Saturday. He flashed some good signs on Sunday. So listen, I think he's in a good mindset. I I think he's a very safe play. I hate using that word because no one's ever safe at the U.S. Open, but I think he's got to be considered one of the safer plays in terms of if you're building a cash lineup, you got to think that he's gonna at least make the cut and then have one round of Phil Mickelson roars in New York. Remember, everyone loves this guy in New York. They love him at Bethpage. They love him in all the when he plays at Liberty National, things like that. He's given hat nods to everyone. That's the one thing that one of my best friends, we've been going to the U.S. Open forever. He always says "Oh, Phil looked at me. Phil gave me a hat nod." And I'm like, "Yeah, he gives everyone a hat nod." But I don't know how you don't like him at the U.S. Open. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get to witness history. He'd be the sixth player to ever do the career Grand Slam. I'm hoping for it. I mean, it would be like a bucket list type thing for me to watch Phil complete the Grand Slam at Shinnecock. So I'm rooting for it. I think he contends. Maybe he even gets into the top 10 come Saturday, Sunday, but I don't know if he gets it done.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I just feel it's such a big task on a long course for a 48-year-old too. Like I hate to bring age into it, but he's given up a little distance to these guys now, and it's just a big course. I like his chances better next year at Pebble. I'll say that.
That's true.
I think that's a way better venue for him. I don't think this is the worst venue, but at the same time, to win, it's a little much. I don't mind him for DFS. If he does get popular, I will say this: Patrick Reed and Brandon Grace, both players, I don't mind going down to either for tournament lower ownership. I don't think either of those guys will garner huge ownership. We always talk about Patrick Reed always gets low ownership. He could win this major and at the Open he'll be 5% owned. It just
I like Reed. He's been doing a lot of things well. And I don't say that to say that I don't like Grace. I think I like Reed a little more. He's been playing really well. I mean, 29th, the 41st of the players kind of ended and putt so great, but 8th at Wells Fargo, 7th in the team event. Obviously won the Masters, so 9th at the match play. So he's been playing well for a couple months now, and he is a gritty player. I think the problem with Reed in an event like this is he doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it's just my kind of like opinion or what I feel. When he gets it going sideways or the wrong way, he generally doesn't come back. So if he plays well and he's out in front, then he'll grind and he'll be there. But if he has one of those rounds, day one, day two, even, that's my concern with Reed. But I think that if he comes out and he plays well to start, he hovers around even, which will be a good score through the first 2 days, then you can look for him to kind of, maybe make a charge this weekend. Obviously, as a the last major winner. I think I was joking last time we spoke. How about the concept of the Reed Slam? He goes out and wins this week. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I would just love it as a Reed fan. And given there's so many haters, I want Reed to do well because I don't understand the hate for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I agree. I mean, he's obviously got the major under his belt now and stuff like that. I just feel like for this tournament, low ownership, and I mean, people talking about Sergio, but Patrick Reed's the guy in form, right? Like he's been playing well since the Masters, so I'm down with that. I do like Grace, I think, a little bit better, just in the setup, but. Bryson at 8,300 obviously got the all-around game. It probably will be semi-chalky. Then you got Fleetwood, Paul Casey coming in. Casey's interesting because, I mean, value-wise, he should probably be like maybe 8,400, 8,500, if not a little bit more expensive. But at the same time, he's coming off a bit of a back injury. I don't know. What's your thoughts on this range? I mean, are you okay with using Casey? I think he's okay. Like, he's been practicing. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but at the same time, any worries there, and do you just like other players better, or are you just fine eating the Paul Casey chalk? I think I'm going to be okay with it. I just want to get confirmation that he's okay later in the week. That's basically what I'm.
Yeah, I think I'm really surprised that he's priced this low. I think you'd probably expect, him to be kind of swapped with a couple of these guys in terms of price in the mid to upper eights. Listen, it could be a problem at that price because why wouldn't you want to play him? I mean, you can do a lot of things and feel really good about seeing the name Paul Casey in your lineup when it affords you so much other stuff. I think I like him more than say Bubba Watson, but I've seen some love for Fleetwood coming up, and I think that's not a bad play. I mean, he's obviously played well in the U.S. Open before. I think there's a couple of guys, a handful of guys in the upper sevens that I can really get behind, which kind of makes it like, yeah, sure, Casey, but I think. Do you think Casey's going to be, like you said, chalk Casey? I mean, is it just chalk because of the price? Because when I think of chalk, I generally think of guys that are playing well that are underpriced. Whereas I don't know that people are making the case for Casey necessarily playing well just because they haven't seen it in a couple months because, the injury and everything going on.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think people think he'll be popular. I don't think he's going to be crazy popular, though. And that's because he has taken a bit of a leave and he's just got the one start. At the same time, he's a little bit underpriced for his world ranking, for his skill, right? So that's why I'm not afraid to use him because I don't think he's going to be like 25%. We'll see later in the week, but that's kind of my feeling. I feel like lots of people will use Fleetwood, which is fine. He's definitely an upside play in there. Bubba will probably get like no ownership, which is also fine. I don't think I'm going to talk myself into that. It is interesting, I'll say that, Bubba, just from a length perspective. I mean, he's got to put it together with the U.S. Open 1 year. Like he's got such good distance off the tee. You'd figure he'd have more than like one top 10 and like 12 U.S. Open starts or whatever he's done, right? I mean, it's so weird, but I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a dangerous play, but
it's a bad record for Bubba. It's really bad at the U.S.
really
Open. Bad. Like it's 5 of 11.
He's got one top 10. It was in 2007, and like he plays the U.S. Open every year.
Yeah, like 5 of 11 average finish of 62.5. Like it's just,
it's terrible. Like it's terrible. So I don't know. I mean, but it's interesting though because I mean he's got length. We talk about Phil doing well this course. Like Bubba's a tricky lefty too. I mean, he should be okay. He putts well in Poa. Poa bent. I mean, that's what Riviera is. So the Masters greens are bent grass. Like I don't know, man. I'm probably not going to go there, but don't be shocked if like Bubba like top fives or something stupid and just comes out of nowhere. Because I feel like one time at the U.S. Open he's got to.
You would think that. I understand maybe there's a lot of mindset. I know there's always the mental things with him, but you would think that like one of these times he just kind of flashes in it and it happens. But yeah, we'll see.
His batting number is interesting too. Like it's up to 66 to 1. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Maybe I'll just bet him, and then I won't have to worry about it. I don't know, but
Hmm.
I'll probably I've already talked myself into burning some Bubba money, so I might as well just do it. But anyways, outside of Bubba, obviously, under Casey is the high 7K range. I mean, Adam Scott, I don't have like a ton of interest in, but he's got a good U.S. Open record. Noren, who we both kind of like, a little bit down on now because I feel like the course is going to play a little bit too long for him. But look, he almost won at Torrey Pines, which is a 7,600-yard course. He's got really good Poa annua splits. Like I feel like people might just forget about him this week, and he might pop. So
I like the number I have on him. We bet him a while back when he was playing well. I think I got him like 55 to 1 in that range. It's not like, I think he's like 45, 50 to 1, so I haven't really
yeah,
gotten much on him, but
no, that's the thing. Like maybe Wednesday his number goes back to the 60s or something, but like right now he's 50 to 1, and I'm not going to add any shares of that number either.
yeah,
I like Louis. I think you're kind of on Louis too now, but
I'm definitely on Louis right now.
I like the upside, man. I mean, the approach game is coming around. First on tour and scrambling, like he's got some distance off the tee. He's a pretty accurate driver too for how long he hits it. He's done well at the U.S. Open over the past 3 years. Runner up, 23rd. Like I like it, man. I mean, everything is kind of falling to order. He's the type of player too. He's putting the ball striking together. He just hasn't had that big putting week yet this year to bring it together when he has had a good ball striking week. So
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like he's really about to do it.
Louis is like the European, oh, sorry, not European, South African Patrick Reed. He's always low owned. He always finds a way to kind of, play well in bigger events. But yeah, I mean, the form, I mean, listen, back to back events, 13th and 5th, both positive on the strokes gained tee to green and strokes gained putting in both of those events. Obviously, the players kind of disappointed, I think, us a good amount. He had a real hot putter at Wells Fargo. If he can kind of find that same putter that he had there, with how he's been striking it, why not? I mean, he was only a couple shots off the lead out at Chambers Bay, so he's played well in this event. He's obviously played well in majors. So at 7,800, I think you got to figure, given his form, his short term form, why not Louis? Especially as a wind player as well. I mean, again, I'm not seeing if the wind is going to pick up, but it's definitely going to be, like I said, cooler. And when you're near the ocean and no trees, it's going to be some sort of breeze. It's not going to be like a hot, stale, environment like a summer type U.S. Open that we've seen in the past. So I definitely like Louis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the guy's won at St. Andrews, obviously almost won twice, but I like him this week. I think he's a good upside play, maybe more of a GPP play too, but I like it. I mean, definitely already have him on my betting card too. So,
Well, that's what I mean by Patrick Reed, by the South African Patrick Reed. Is like he's always less owned than he should be, I think.
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he gets a little bit overlooked, and his price isn't like egregious here or anything, so he might get a little bit of ownership. But this range is pretty chock full. I mean, you can go down to Leishman, who's his form is a little bit off. I don't know if I'm going to go there this major. Maybe just wait at the Open. But I mean, Cantlay's down there too. Webb Simpson, Charles, who just completely ejected on the weekend at the FedEx St. Jude. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Charles. The one thing I'll say about Charles is you're gonna get Charles like 1% owned now.
No one's gonna. Yeah, I mean,
which is good. I mean, I'll probably go there. I'll probably do it. I mean, the ball striking is. I don't know what happened on the weekend, but
from what I can see, it kind
there.
of dipped. It kind of dipped on the weekend.
Dipped a bit, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Could have just ran out of juice and needed to have a week off. I don't know.
I mean, he shot 13 over.
13 over
over the course of the weekend. It's like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. Do you like Cantlay from this range then?
I do. I do. He finished fourth at Memorial. Kind of didn't, he didn't really strike it well at Fort Worth, but I think that was a tough spot for him. But you look at him as one of the premier young ball strikers. I think he's definitely interesting. I think he's one of the younger guys that could, come up and snag a major. And I think that would be really exciting because I think he's been hyped for about a year or so now. He's obviously gotten himself the win. He's playing well. A lot of things that I see from Cantlay are really good. I'm not saying he's going to win, but of the guys in that like kind of next generation of young guys coming up, it wouldn't surprise me. I think he has enough game all around to put it together. I think in this range, there's I don't know because there's so many people that like Cantlay, and there's always so much Cantlay love. I feel, but it's really tough in this range because there's a lot of like big names, even though there might be mixed sentiment on them. I mean, Charles Schwartzel is a big name, Mark Leishman, fairly well known. Oosthuizen, Noren, Scott, Webb Simpson. Even Kuchar right around there. Like these are all guys that are really popular. So it's interesting to me for an event like this when it comes to DraftKings. If there's a lot of casual players coming in, they're going to see all these other names. They might not even know who Cantlay is. I could imagine having a conversation with some people that in my mind, like golf, but not the way you and I do, not really knowing Cantlay and kind of glossing over him. But at the same time, I think people in the industry or people that are really into it look at Cantlay as a premier up and coming player. So that's kind of where I'm stuck on him in terms of popularity this week. But I like him as a play.
Yeah, I think I've kind of talked myself into him. I mean, I was a little bit down on him after the Players, after that whole like sort of pace of play stuff. It was a little ridiculous. But then you look at his numbers from that event, and the ball striking was like pure. Like he was out ball striking Bryson. So I think I've talked myself into it. And again, we'll see on the ownership projections. But I think I'm kind of sold on using some Patrick Cantlay here. So I like it. I may even look to bet him. I mean, if I can talk myself out of Bubba now, but definitely on.
Yeah, I didn't really see what had happened at Memorial, but if it is that ridiculous, what Cantlay does, then the crowds at Shinnecock, I think Shinnecock has that feel of being this exclusive course out in Long Island. It's the same fans, okay? It's not we're not talking about the membership at Shinnecock versus the people that can play Bethpage. It's going to be the same fans. So if that's the case,
yeah, no, I mean that's a good take. I mean it's bold because look, Patrick Cantlay has got major championship potential. I just watched his last tournament, and I'm probably making too big a deal out of it because it really didn't affect him that much. I mean, he did melt a little bit down the stretch, but like you said, it really comes down to numbers too. The ball striking is there right now, so that's probably what we should just be keying on because you can't worry too much about the off-course stuff because you don't know that much about it.
Well, it helps be an American because Sergio at Bethpage, when they're counting how many times he's re-gripping, that's a little bit there.
That's true. I mean, it's a good thing. Like if he's in the lead, he's probably not gonna get too much guff because he's American. People probably be cheering for him. So yeah, maybe it won't be as big an issue. He's a player in this range. In all seriousness, like I probably might actually get on a team or two. I like Keegan, but I can't disagree. Like Patrick Cantlay, his upside is way better. So his upside is winning upside. Definitely more of like a GPP play in that perspective. But yeah, I could see it. I could see Cantlay winning. Hopefully he's fixed a bit of his pace of play issues, but we'll see. He didn't seem to care too much at the Memorial. So
now, listen, until they put the shot clock on him over here, who's going to care? So
yeah. So I mean, after 7,500. Things get definitely get a little more dicey. I mean, obviously the guy we got ranked really high, and I think for good reason, Jimmy Walker. Like everything is firing with his game right now. Like you mentioned, good pole putter over his career. Only thing I'd say, he can get a little bit crazy with the driver. Not the straightest driver in the world, but neither is Jason Day, and he does well at the U.S. Open. So
well, that's the thing. I mean, listen, he is 6 straight cuts. Just around 12 average finish. So 20th, 6th, 2nd, 25th at the team event, 4th at Valero, 20th at the Masters. I mean, he is playing well. Like, he is really finishing well. Again,
it kind of reminds me, his lead up kind of reminds me of Webb to the Players, to be honest.
It really is like that, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty incredible what he's doing right now, and it's not getting much notice because he hasn't won. But hey, listen, you're right. He can get a little wayward off the tee, but I don't know if people realize he does have the distance. He has the power in him to get it out there. So that's one of the strong points of his game. I mean, we saw him at Baltusrol. Like he can get it out there. So as long as he's online, if he's feeling it with the driver, then you really got to watch out because he can do everything. And like you said, the greens, it's definitely a good fit for him. That style of the greens for the putter.
I'll be betting Jimmy Walker because he's going to be like 100-1 tomorrow when the books open. Yeah. So I'll be on it 100%. I feel like for that price, he's one of the few players who could actually win. So yeah, definitely on it. Like I said, maybe a little risk. Maybe you don't want to use him in a cash game lineup just because of that. But I don't know. I mean, he's probably going to be fine. There is a guy like this again. If you're comparing him to Jimmy Walker. Maybe not as much upside, but Shane Lowry, 7,200.
Well, if you noticed, I've been he's been on the bets for me the last 2 weeks. He hasn't hit on either of them, but I've had interest. I mean, I want him to play a little better this week. because I wanted to kind of substantiate where I've been going with him. Because yes, I agree. I thought coming into here, I don't know. He kind of played this week. I
The
don't
ball
know.
striking was pretty good though. Like he was hitting it well. He's another player he's actually had some success on the West Coast too. So don't be shocked if he puts a little bit better.
Well, listen,
I,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I really like him in this range. Like I like him almost as much as Walker, if not more, to be honest. He's a really good player. He's played well in U.S. Opens in the past. Played well at Chambers. Obviously, third round leader at Oakmont.
Well, yeah,
I'm going to be interested to see how popular he gets.
That's where I'm at. Because that's my joke. Like, if he can't win for me when I have him with a 4-shot lead on Sunday, why should I, when he's even with the field on Thursday morning, why should I take him? That's my joke kind of take. But yeah, I mean, I have liked him. He has been trending in the right direction. So in that price range, he's a guy that has played well in big events. Obviously won the WGC, has had some strong major finishes. Yeah, I mean, at that price, I mean, I'm definitely taking him over, say, Brian Harman right next to him because, I don't think we see anything like what Harman was able to pull off last year at this type of event.
That was crazy. I mean,
it was
for Brian Harman to almost win the U.S. Open on like a 7,800-yard course.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, he played well last year, man. Like, that's shout out to him because I mean that would have been an insane upset, to be honest. Like,
but I look at guys in this range. I mean, listen, Luke List has been like, I feel like the Twitter fanboy for like months, and he just it's not happening, guys. Hoffman, Hoffman's just not playing well. It's too bad because when he plays well, he can get in the mix in the bigger events. I mean, listen, he's never really won any of them, but there's been a lot of Hoffman like pop-ups in the Masters and the U.S. Open recently. So other guys in this range,
I mean, Kyle Stanley is the other one.
We passed over him. Yeah, Kyle Stanley, I think we're both interested in. Finished second at Memorial, trending in the right direction. Definitely one of the guys.
What's interesting about Stanley too? He hasn't played in the U.S. Open since 2013. I think this is only like his second or third U.S. Open.
Yep.
Kind of feels weird because he really feels like a perfect U.S. Open player. He's long and straight off the tee, hits a ton of greens.
And it's funny. He played a bunch. He played back in 08, 09. He's played, but he hasn't played yet in 4 years.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I think is interesting. But yeah, I mean, like.
No, sorry. Yeah, Walker, Stanley, Lowry. I mean, I like all three of those guys in this range a lot. So
and that's the thing. I mean, if you go with those three guys as your bottom three, it really opens you up top. You can get one of those guys in the 8s, and then you can go with, if you like Rose, you can go with a Rose, probably Rose Day combo in that range, or you want to go Koepka, then you can go DJ. You can make it work by going because they're all low 7s. I mean, these are guys normally you have to round out a lineup at that price point, and it works. It works at that price for these guys.
So I mean, below them, I don't mind Peter Uihlein. I guess I'm not feeling like super confident on anyone below them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
No, I mean, listen, Hadwin we always like, but probably not this week. I think Duffner's going to get some love. I think he's been, striking it well enough, and he's not necessarily long, but obviously always a phenomenal approach game. I don't know how he's going to putt. Hadley, I would like to see him play well just because we've liked him all year. I mean,
Hadley's kind of interesting. I mean, I should probably give him more. He might not get as much props as he should. Just because he's been so consistent all year and his approach game is really good. Like, there's really no reason not to like him at this price, is there?
No, I mean, there isn't. There isn't really any reason not to. Reeve played well, relatively well this week. Finished 16th last year when he played. I mean, another ball striker.
I think Siwoo's interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, he's always interesting. I mean, obviously, he's one of players. So that when you win an event of that caliber, you can always be added to the conversation,
radar, especially when you're 21, right? But I mean, he's like 25th strokes gained off the tee. Like he can get it out there if he needs to. He was like T13 at Erin Hills last year too. I think people forget he's made 7 straight cuts in a row, which is like really consistent for Siwoo Kim. Something to think about. I mean, again, it's a GPP play, but when you're looking at this range, I said I didn't like that many people, but like Siwoo Kim has for me top 10 upside. So that's good. I mean, I don't know.
I'm looking at a guy in this range, and I'm not saying I like him or don't like him, but I want to have a little bit of conversation because if you sort the survival guide by history rank, he comes up as number one. Not Tiger Woods, who's right behind him, or a couple behind. Not Koepka, who's right up there, but he's number one. You know who I'm talking about?
Steve Stricker?
Yes. Is there any chance? I mean, 10 of 11 cuts in the U.S. Open. So my thing is, if you're going to argue that he's old and it's too long, like, he's been old and the courses have been too long for a while. That's the thing. So he's playing fairly well. I mean, what are your thoughts? There's going to be some arguments. I feel like it's going to be a name that people recognize in the upper sixes. He's probably going to be a couple percent owned. But what do you think? Do you have any interest? Do you have any reason why you would put him on a team?
I mean, I would. I mean, I would put him on a team. It just depends who else I can get on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm stuck and I'm like, oh, I got 69 left and I really like the rest of my team, I would use Steve Stricker. I feel like he's got enough upside to get in like the top 25. And again, one thing to consider, especially for DraftKings, the U.S. Open, not a ton of birdies, probably going to see like a -5 winner, maybe worse, maybe a little better, but placing points matter. So if Steve Stricker gets you 25th this week, that's really, really good. Like that's going to more than pay off his salary. I feel like Steve Stricker can get you a T25 here, maybe a T30. So I can't remember exactly what he did last year, Darren Hills, but I know he made the cut, didn't he?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you look at what he's done, 16.
Yeah. So I mean, like he can play these long courses. He's not stupid. I mean, he's got a really good around the green game. He's very good at course management. He's not going to go out there like Andrew Putnam did today and like hit the ball in stupid spots and like not give himself a chance to get up and down or whatever. So
he hasn't missed the cut in the U.S. Open. Yeah, since here, since 2004.
So I look at this range. We like Russell Knox. Russell Knox probably maybe has a little bit more upside, but no,
I'm a little cooler on my take of tremendously owned now that we've gone through everyone. Probably not going to be tremendously owned, but for guys in that range, I like him, and I think there's some interest.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't think he'll be like low owned, but I don't. I guess I wasn't as high on him as you for ownership, but no, look, Stricker. I mean, we can talk ourselves into all these fancy players, like, and I'm talking like, we can talk about like Beef Johnson and like, oh, he's coming in good form, he's got distance off the tee, or Lucas Glover because he's won a U.S. Open, or like Trey Mullinax because he hits it so far. But like Stricker is the consistent player. He's the best player of all those players. Like it doesn't matter how far he's hitting it. He's the best player of all these people right now. So why not just play him? I mean, I won't have a problem doing it if I get down to this range. I do like Russell Knox. Woodland for me for GPPs is a better chance of a top 10, I think.
On Woodland.
Yeah, Woodland's ball striking Memorial was really good. 3 rounds of like 68 or better, something there. Like he just had one bad round basically.
But we're getting into a range where I start to see the names of like people that I know are sectional qualifiers and I don't know who they are. So
yeah.
We're getting close to that cutoff. I mean, Braden Thornberry was fine this week because of the hometown. He's played well here before. I'm not expecting him to kind of like parlay what he did this week into the U.S. Open.
No. I mean, is there anyone you'll have like heavier ownership on at below 6,800?
I don't think so. I mean, just in terms of the decent players, I mean, Howell. I mean, Charles Howell III has not played many U.S. Opens recently, and
his major championship form sucks. Yeah, like he sucks in majors.
He doesn't really have anything there.
I get why people would be tempted over him. You could probably make the Poan argument. Mm-hmm. He still hits it big off the tee. I mean, but
yeah, once I get to 60, after 6,800, there really isn't anyone that I'm making an argument for. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere.
I will say this. After 6,800, there's one player I'm interested in. He's 6,000. And I'm serious when I say I'm interested. I'm not just like throwing it out there. Like I'll probably put him in like a 150 lineup or something like that. Lucas Herbert, 6K from Australia.
Let's talk about him. I don't know anything about him. So
I mean, I don't think most people do. He's obviously he's Australian. He was like T7 at the PGA Championship in Australia. He's got a couple T5s on the European Tour. He's like T5 in Perth, T3 at the Sicilian Open like about a month ago. Shot a 63 in round 4 to get all the way up to T3 on the final day. He absolutely destroyed his qualifying heat in Portland. Like He just came out there. He said he wasn't even feeling that good. He shot like 66, 65 or something and won by like 4 strokes. He's talented, man. Like in a couple of years, you could be talking about him as like the next Adam Scott. That's in theory that's how talented he is. He's got length off the tee too. So my theory is he's 6,000. If he makes the cut, if he gets like T50 and he makes a few birdies, you're set. Like that's all you need, right? Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, he's got the talent to do that. And he also has the talent to actually maybe finish higher in this event because to me, he really has flashed that talent. So I like it. Like he's so cheap because we don't see this pricing from DraftKings, right? Like usually it's cut off at like 6,500.
It's been a long time. I mean,
it's been a long time. And that's the one thing that interests me at the start. I'm like, well, I don't like many of these players. And then I saw Herbert and I'm like, well, 6K, like, okay, like 6,500, no, 6K, yes.
Yeah, so, it makes it so that what? Yeah, it means you have 44,000 divided by 5. I mean, you have almost an average of 9,000 per player, which means like that's outrageous. I mean, you can do a lot with it. If you want to take a flyer, I mean, I'm trying to think, we've had some success with a couple guys like that. I forget who the French guy was who we took at Oakmont.
Bordy.
Yeah, he was like he was like a 60. I want to say he was like low 6s in that range. Yeah, you hit with a guy like that. I mean, you just need him to make the cut. You don't need him to even play that well. You're
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're down into the price where he just needs to make the cut. But the reason I like him is because I actually feel like he's got the upside to do better in an event like this. Yeah. Like I know him because I bet him the week he finished T3 in Sicily. And I read up on him. But he's taking the U.S. Open seriously. I mean, he qualified. He's out there early. He's not playing any more events. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's the type of guy you might see flash this week. I mean, Andrew Landry was in the final group. Cam Smith top 5 at the U.S. Open. Like these things happen. So I'm just saying, I'm throwing him out there. If you need a guy at the min price, that's who my recommendation would be.
That's it. I mean, listen, we just went through. I mean, this is by far our longest pod so far. We basically gone through the field.
It's sort of like 30 players who probably aren't going to matter at all.
Yeah, we've talked about everyone. I mean, we didn't talk about Scott. We didn't talk about a couple of randos. I mean, Xander. I don't know if he's going to come off last year the same way. I'm looking through the whole. I mean, we've talked about everyone, so pretty informative.
Let me throw one more name because actually, Aaron Wise.
Okay.
You like it?
I don't hate it. Obviously, just recently won, so he's playing well. He's not going to be owned. I don't know that I'd play him in a cash lineup. I'm not sure. I think there's some guys around there that I like, but yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, recent winner. Anything specific about
Well, I just feel like we talked about Schauffele having the big U.S. Open last year. Don't you feel like he's kind of like Schauffele this year? Like he's that young guy. He's got a lot of confidence coming in. He can do everything that you need to top 10 at a U.S. Open.
Yeah. Is Cook playing next week?
Austin Cook?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No. That basically my argument was that was kind of the concept. I mean, I think more of him when I think of like the Schauffele. I mean, Wise, I think he kind of won, but I guess the form is there enough. But he hadn't popped up on the radar. Outside of just knowing that he won and knowing that his girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm not. And look, I'm not saying I'm gonna have like all the Aaron Wise, but you're right. I mean, he'll probably have 1% on. So I feel like he could pop up. Maybe he's interesting. I don't know. Just feel like I throw that name out there just in case. Get it on the record.
On the record. All right.
All right.
Let's do it. No, let's do what we do.
Okay, so I'll just give people a recap too. Like we got a couple articles already up on site. They're free actually, so even if you're not a subscriber, you can go and check them out now. Part 1, Part 2 preview, DraftKings. I just kind of go through the field, kind of like we did, but just my own take on it and stuff like that. Those are up there. Tuesday, I'm gonna have like a betting and a DraftKings cheat sheet, just going over core plays. Won't be as in depth because I already did like 3,000 words on it. So check that out. Wednesday, subscriber chat on the site. So if you are thinking about subscribing, now is a good time. It's $5 for a weekly membership, $15 for a monthly. Like I said, awesome deal. Definitely a good week to do it. You could even get the monthly. It might even carry you through to the Open. I'm actually maybe not quite, but you get my idea, right? Yeah, I mean, we're in the heart of golf season, so now's a great time to take a dive. Anything else about the site, Steve, I should mention?
No, I think that's it. I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm operating the site, so I agree. I think it's the best value. I mean, where else can you go and pay what
I was like,
we're charging to get everything that you get? So
we don't even mention the tools enough on this podcast, but there's so many of them. Just go check it out yourself because it's better. I mean, you got course history you can analyze to death. You've got like incoming form, course snapshot, round searcher tools now. The lineup builder is amazing. But anyways, final shout out to the site, fantasygolfmetrics.com. But let's get to the winners. Who you got, man? Who's taking it down?
well, since you know that I have a little more significant stake, I want Koepka to win. But I'm in between Koepka and Thomas, so I'm looking for Koepka. I think Thomas a little, he just lost the number one ranking, but he's playing well. I like Justin Thomas to go out there and get his second leg, of four, majors.
I will say this. I think the fact he's not number one in the world is really going to help him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to really help Justin Thomas this week. So I can definitely see that. Man, my preseason pick was Ricky. I'm gonna say Jason Day. I felt like strongly Jason. This is gonna be a really good setup for Jason Day. From like day one, since I heard it, knew he was back at Shinnecock at the start of the year. Nothing he's done this year has put me off it. Really, except maybe like the inconsistent iron play. But he's just such a good U.S. Open player. I feel like eventually he's gonna get one of them, and this is just such a good spot for him. So I really like Ricky. I'm betting both Jason Day and Ricky this week. I'm going to say Jason Day for my pick, though.
Well,
so.
The thing that I've heard, same phrase over the last couple weeks from you is, I'm adding shares of Jason Day. I've been adding shares. So you know what? It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, I have been adding shares, and I'll probably keep doing it this week. But so we got Day, we got Thomas. Shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Brooks Koepka. But that's about it, guys. I mean, obviously, like I said, hope you guys all have a good week. You can check us out on Twitter. I'm at the Fantasy Grind. Steve's at FG Metrics. Pop us up with any questions during the week. We'll definitely try and get to them. But have a good U.S. Open. Talk to you again soon.
We're going to be all over it, so take it easy.